Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us. Please do us a huge favor and smash that subscribe button below. It helps the channel grow. Benny, where can they find us on social media?
Yeah, you can find us, Ray Benny Sports. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Also, check us out on Reddit and Discord, and leave us a rating on your favorite podcast provider.
We got CFL Talk, CFL Playoff Talk, Winnipeg Jets Talk, of course, brought to you by Fahrenheit Airbrushing, some NHL talk. But let's start off with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the West Final. This is a matchup we've been looking forward to, 1 versus 2 for the West. What are some of these key matchups that you're looking forward to watching?
Yeah, like it always starts. It's always the O lines versus the D lines, right? And Bombers D or O line has been very good. Besides that one game against the first game against BC, where they gave up 7 sacks, they've only given up 33 total the whole season. So it just goes to show how good BC was in that game. So yeah, that Bomber offense or offensive line is going to have to be good. And same on the other side. The BC O line as well is going to have to stop Jeffcoat and Jefferson. Hasn't been as good as that Bomber O line. But they're going to have to get after Vernon Adams. And again, starts in the trenches for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. BC is in the bottom half of the league in regards to giving up sacks. Bombers are top 3 in the league for getting sacks. So this can be a huge game, I think, for Winnipeg, especially if we can get the crowd going. They will be going, but if you can get them going early and getting those calls messed up and the inability to hear things around you, I think that the Bombers D line could cause havoc all day long.
Yeah, that's.
Sorry. Go ahead, please.
Good. No, and I said that's the noise. That's a big thing, right? The crowd noise. You got to throw BC off that game. It's funny to me that you say that BC have given up so many sacks. It's like you got Vernon. I know Dane Evans played a little bit, but you got Vernon Adams back there. And it's amazing that a guy like that who can run and get away still end up taking up a lot of sacks this year.
Their O-line is not very good, especially when it comes to the running game. But yeah, they've been kind of up and down. If they play good and if Adams has time, then they will be dangerous. But if that O-line isn't playing at their best and the Bomber D-line gets some momentum, watch out. The Bombers receivers against the Lions secondary. That Lions secondary with TJ Lee and Gary Peters, both CFL All-Stars at corner and D-back respectively. Ooh, especially if Dembski's not at 100%. And I think it's almost a guarantee that Schoen will not be playing, still hasn't participated in practice, has an ankle injury. I don't think anyone's really expecting him to play. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that matchup. That could be a troublesome matchup for the Bombers, especially if Rasheed Bailey is not 100% either.
Yeah, that's a crappy thing about this, right? You got this far, and now all of a sudden you're facing injuries to one of your main cores. Dembski and Bailey got hurt in the last game. Right, the last game of the season that was kind of meaningless. Well, not kind of meaningless. Was meaningless. So it sucks for a guy to get hurt in that game. Dalton Schoen has been out for a bit. Again, they listed him as questionable. Maybe he still suits up and plays a little bit in this game. But do you risk that chance, or do you put Markeith Ambles, who is practicing with the ones this week as well, and play him in there? One of the things though with the Bombers on offense, and I know it's going to be different if these receivers aren't playing. Their best 2 games passing yards wise total was against BC. In the second and third games, Claros put up the most numbers. He did. Even Drew Brown got in the mix in that second game as well. So,
and who was a leading receiver in both of those games?
Kenny Lawler,
200 in one game and 97 in the other.
Yeah,
and he's there. So he needs to have a big game.
This is where he is going to need to step it up. I know they still got Drew Wolotarski. It sounds like Bailey is probably in better shape than the other 3, the other 2, Dembski and Schoen. But chances for Wolotarski or Orange O'Leary as well. Is it O'Leary Orange? Do I keep messing this up?
There you go, O'Leary Orange.
But yeah, it's time for those guys to step it up. But the main thing is the Bombers' run game needs to pound that BC D line and open things up for those receivers as well, who may not have their top guys in there. But if Oliveira can have a great game against the BC front 7, Bombers got a great chance.
Yeah, again with the lineup matchups. I think we're going to miss a good matchup between Oliveira and Hladik. It doesn't sound like Hladik's going to be good to go from what I've been reading on Farhan Lalji's Twitter. I'm going to call it Twitter. Hladik will be out. Josh Woods played last week and he put up 11 tackles. He's a very good replacement from UCLA, so he's more than capable. I don't know what it does to BC's roster on the game day in regards to their ratio, because Hladik was such a big piece, but maybe that's good news for Oliveira, because what's his name? Josh Woods. I just said it. He's a very fast linebacker, but if he's going toe to toe and Brady Hill's going downhill, I'm going to take Brady Hill.
Yeah.
Brady Oliveira. Brady's going downhill. Oliveira. Yes. Goodness gracious. Another matchup I'm looking forward to watching, or suss out, is the Buck Pierce and Ryan Phillips and Richie Hall and Jordan Maximic. Without having a day of coaching football in my life, I can't go into game planning and scheming exactly what they'll do, what kind of zones Richie Hall will play. But, we saw it last game. Halftime, there's definitely some adjustments made on the Bomber side offensively and defensively. BC didn't make those adjustments. Maybe they got comfortable and they couldn't adjust to what the Bombers' changes were, and the Bombers won the game. So that's going to be another matchup, the coaching matchup. Obviously, I can't go into detail, like I said, but I'm looking forward to seeing how they do and the adjustments throughout, because they've seen each other lots. 4th time this year.
Yeah, exactly. And then 4 times last year as well. Was it?
Yeah,
did they play 3? Much. And then the playoffs? Yeah, Richie Hall. I mean, the Bombers D tends to give up a lot of yards, here and there in games, but they don't end up necessarily giving up a lot of points. Vernon Adams had 250, just over 250 in the first half of that last game that they played each other. And then Hall and the defense made some adjustments, and they only ended up getting that one long pass in the last play of the game, basically. And that was it. So yes, the Bombers D made the adjustments. The Bombers just did enough. Zach Claros has to play mistake-free football. We've seen him give that ball away a little bit too carelessly this year. Interceptions, fumbles, trying to do a little bit too much. So yeah, he'll have to just settle down and play and give what the defense is giving him. And if he has to take a sack, just take a sack.
Yeah, and also with adjustments, it's not really an adjustment, but when you have a team like BC who can't close a game with a running game and they're limited to being a passing team, that's hard to close out games. It's hard. Sorry. Any other matchups that you're looking forward to seeing?
No, you know what? Just handling Matthew Betts. Stopping him from getting to Claros, really, and that's really it. We've mentioned a few other things, so looking forward to it.
So that's Matthew Betts against Hardrick, I think. He's on the left, Hardrick's on the right. They go toe-to-toe. I believe that'll be the matchup. And I think that's another reason why you get the running game going. You have to beat his ass on the line, take him out, make him tired, punch him in the face over and over again, have him playing on his heels. So he can't be full out throwing going after Buck Pierce. Pierce.
Zach
Caleros. Man, maybe I got some CTE. Let's go on to what do the Bombers need? That's not a shot on Buck Pierce. I'm sorry. I should have said. Or Zach Caleros. Read the room, Ray. Read the room. What do the Bombers need to do to win? Speaking of Zach Caleros, he can't give up the ball. We've seen him in uncomfortable situations throw the ball into double or triple coverage when he's in trouble. And not only does that set the Bombers up for possible turnovers, in one instance, it took him out for the game against Edmonton. Yeah. Luckily, Drew Brown was there, and luckily it was Edmonton. But at the same time, he can't be making those mistakes or fumbling the ball like he did against BC on their side of the field. Hold on to the ball, Zach Caleros.
Yeah, he's made a lot more mistakes this year than he has in the past. So I definitely agree there. He'll have to just play some clean, mistake-free football. Obviously, if you make a mistake, it's going to happen throughout the game. But hopefully it doesn't end up leading to a turnover like it has, especially the pick sixes, man. There's been way too many of those. You can't give up 3 points to this BC team at all, especially on D, because their offense is going to score and move that ball. For me, running the ball for the Bombers, they have to pound that D-line. We just talked about this. They have to slow down that pass rush. If you get Betts to even take a second to think, well, this is a run, because they're getting at us, he'll hang back a little bit more. It gives you more time then to throw the ball. So, which then it helps Claros as well, and hopefully make, mistake-free football. Yeah. Run game's got to help them not be in second and longs, because that'll, pin the ears back of that BC line, D line, and they'll come after Claros. So again, that first rush or that first play has got to get some yards.
Yeah, and that running game just gets the offensive line into a groove. Offensive linemen will tell you 9 times out of 10, they like to run block better than passive blocking, because they are attacking rather than standing there and taking the hit. You know what I'm saying? They get to hit people in the face. So yeah, definitely get that. And you know what I'm going to say? I've said this so many times this year. Play the heavy set. That is so dominant with Winnipeg. They already have a great O-line, the best O-line in the league, probably. Like, not as a Bomber fan.
Toronto's is pretty good.
They're pretty good too. They're pretty good too. But, it's just go lean on your offensive line. Let Brady Oliveira follow 6 linemen, and spread the ball in the passing game. Take away BC's aggressiveness, especially in the secondary. I think they gave it to 9 receivers last time. And like you said, Wolodarski was involved. Janarian Grant was involved. So spread the ball around, get as many receivers as possible, including Oliveira.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I like how you said too about the O-line and getting involved in the game, because it's always fun to watch Jamarcus Hardrick when he's in the game. He's headbutting people, he's slapping people, he's just pumped after big runs, right? And you're just watching him, the guy's loving the game and he's right into it. So yeah, it's exciting to see. I love watching him after play sometimes. I'm like, how did he not just concuss that his own player there half the time?
He got hard. It's great. What else do the Bombers still got to do to get a win here?
Again, disrupt Vernon Adams. Do not let him have time to survey and find his receivers, and keep him in that pocket. Because if he gets out and gets around, he just showed it. He almost ran for 60 yards against Calgary. He's dangerous with his legs, and they don't have a run game. So this is an extension of that run game. If he's running for 60 yards, hey, there's a bit of a run game. And the Bombers have struggled against running quarterbacks. We saw it with Trey Ford, Dustin Crum kind of thing. Fajardo even, he escaped how many times at the clutches. So
yeah,
they got to keep him in the pocket. Don't let him run. Don't let him find that space.
Yeah, and all the glory usually goes to the Jeffs on the line. And they've earned it. Willie Jefferson and Jackson Jeffcoat have probably become the most dominant pair of defensive ends I've seen in, the last 10, 15 years?
Yeah.
I know people are going to say bias again, but it's true. Name me a defensive end pairing better than them in the last decade or so. I'll wait. But you're right. The defensive line has to be on it. And also Ricky Walker, Jake Thomas, and Cam Lawson have to hold the middle of the line. They don't have to get the numbers. They don't have to get the sacks. But as long as the middle is clogged up and it doesn't give Vernon Adams that avenue to go down, and it doesn't enable BC's offensive line to target the Jeffs, then I think they'll be in good shape.
Yeah, and Adam Bighill will have to be, I don't know if he's going to end up spying Vernon Adams a little bit here and there. They just got to leave him clear areas to get through if Vernon Adams decides to run. Because if Vernon Adams decides to run and Bighill can't get to him because there's too much blocking or not enough holes going on there from that D-line, he's going to get away and have a big gain, because usually there's no one else around after that.
Yeah, I think I might actually put, what's his name? Malik Clemens? I might have him spying. Or Kyrie Wilson. Yes, even better. Thank you for spying. And I keep Adam Bighill available to move around the field, kind of like a Troy Polamalu kind of guy. Not to, bring the NFL into play, but I'm a Steeler fan. What up? Any other thing else that the Bombers have to do?
No, just mistake-free football, man. I mean, don't give up too much to this BC offense. Don't give them opportunities with short field to score touchdowns.
Yeah, it's short fields. Exactly. They can't allow BC to flip that field. And they have to score points. I know that's elementary, but since they held Calgary to 9 points on August the 6th, they've at least allowed 26 points a game. They've gone 5-4, and they've allowed over 400 points. The only team over 500 to allow more than 400 points. So they can be scored upon. So they got to take advantage of the time. They can't fumble it in their zone like Galeros did. They got to score.
That's the thing. In that game, the Bombers were moving up and down the field. They were good. They just settled for field goals, and then after they were turning it over. So they can move the ball. They know they can move the ball on this BCD. They know they can score on this BCD. They've done it. They just have to do it without shooting themselves in the foot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This might hurt, but how can BC steal a win from the Bombers? You can go first.
They got to stop that run game. They have to stop Oliveira. And the whole run game, basically, not just Oliveira, but they have to try to get the Bombers to kind of be one-dimensional and kind of even the field, that they both don't have a run game going on in this game. If they can do that, they have an opportunity. Taking an early lead, getting this crowd maybe a little bit out of it will help as well, because if this crowd is buzzing for 60 minutes, it's going to be a tough time for BC, especially if Winnipeg scores quick or does, causes a turnover or anything like that. That stadium is going to go nuts. So those two things for me are the biggest things. Stop the run game, take the crowd out.
Yeah, I agree with you. If they get an early lead, the Bombers might be in trouble, like we saw at that 30-6 game. And there was a vibe that BC came onto the field with in that 30-6. It's like, we have to work. They just walked on. It's like, something's up. I remember watching that game from Section 112, and they just walked on the field. It's like, what's up with that? They remembered the playoffs and they came hard, and they're going to come hard again. Oh, that sounds horrible. Any which way, like you said, get pressure on Zach Collaros. The BC Lions were second in the league in sacks. Bombers, very good offensive line, but BC was second in the league in sacks, so they can cause some damage, like we saw again in that 36 game, especially with Betts. How many sacks do you have?
3. They got 7 total, right? Or
yeah.
How many in that game? Yeah,
that was crazy. That was not fun to watch. And when Collaros is pressured, he turns the ball over this year.
Yeah. And he was
any quarterback usually does
that game.
Exactly. So they got to stop that. Who's in line to have a big day, you think, in this game? I'm going to say Kenny Lawler, since he's already shown that he can have big games against BC with 297. I get it. Dalton Schoen's not going to be there to be a distraction, but still, Kenny Lawler has skill, and he knows he has to be the dude right now. He knows he has to be that dude.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's going to have to step up. Hey, this is why you brought him back. This is why you paid him the big bucks. And he can do it, obviously. He's shown it. And he thrives in these situations. So,
yeah.
I'm going to go Janarian Grant. You know what? We've kind of missed him for the most part this season. I know he had some early season success, like that run against Saskatchewan, great run and all that. But I think the Bombers are going to need to win that field position battle. And I think this is where Janarian Grant is going to step up for the Bombers and give them and flip that field, especially if some of these wide receivers are out. I think that'll definitely help them with shorter field and good field position. So I'm going to go with Janarian Grant on this one.
Yeah, I hope he has a big game on special teams and in receiving as well. Just give him 2 or 3 receptions, a couple screens, see what he can do, and just, again, keep that BC defense on their heels. On special teams, I hope Sergio Castillo is going to have I hope that he's going to have a big, I do hope he has a big, I think he will have a big game. He's been converting very well. I think best all-time field goal percentage in Bomber history at 90.2 or something like that, or maybe even more than that. I can't remember the number, but I think he'll have a big day. I think he'll hopefully put all of his kicks in. And also Terry Williams. Don't sleep on that returner on BC. Sorry, I'm going to pick a BC player. Top 3 in return yards, partially because BC got scored on a lot, but still, he's a solid returner, and the Bombers have not been very good at covering kicks.
No, they got a little bit better in the second half of the season, but still not that good. It's funny you say about Castillo, because Sean White on the other side has been great this season. So yeah, Castillo is going to have to match him toe to toe, because Sean White, I don't remember when this guy misses half the time.
I see what you did there.
Toe to toe.
With the kickers. Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Cheers. Who else you got on that list?
I agree with Kenny Lawler. And I agree that the Bombers do need to shut down that return game. We know Vernon Adams is probably going to have a good game here. He's going to put up the yards and all that stuff. But again, BC are going to be needing the lesser known guys. And if somehow Mazzell could have a good game, which I doubt, I don't think so. If they get that run game, that would be huge for BC. But yeah, I agree with all the other guys you mentioned.
I don't think that we can discount or discontinue or discredit the talk of will we get good VA or bad VA. I don't think he's proven himself on that level where, yes, we know for sure we'll get good VA yet. We know we'll get good Zach Collaros. He might have a bad game, but he'll keep the Bombers in the game. Can VA do the same?
Yeah, that'll be
especially on the road.
Yeah, and if the Bombers can get up a couple touchdowns quickly, like flip the script, like we were talking about, Winnipeg can't get down, right? If BC gets down, can Vernon Adams bring them back? Usually BC ends up imploding and it just gets worse than better kind of thing, right? So yeah, that'll be interesting to see. And if he does, there's a growth place right there for Vernon Adams if he can bring this BC team down on the road in Winnipeg in the playoffs.
Good for him. Good for him. Also, Jackson Jeffcoat, I think he'll have a good game.
Yeah, the Willie Jefferson too, right? They always seem to step it up when they know they have to, kind of thing. And again, it's a veteran team. They know what they need to do to get back to that Grey Cup. They've done it 3 years in a row here, so it'll be interesting. Zach Collaros is also 7-1 against BC in his career and has completed, I think, over 74% of his passes. So besides that one game earlier this year, he's been pretty good against BC.
Oh my goodness, this is gonna be crazy. How do you see this game playing out? Who are you taking to win?
I'm going to take Winnipeg. Being at home definitely helps. If this was in BC, I might choose differently. I do think it's going to be a very close game. I'd be shocked if it goes either way the first 2 games. I think it'll be more like the third game where it's close and then someone kind of pulls away at the end of it. But Yeah, I'm gonna have to take Winnipeg in this one.
Out of the 81 games played in this year's regular season, 49 were comeback wins won in the last 3 minutes.
Yeah.
More than half. That's amazing football, by the way.
Yeah.
And we saw that kind of in action when the Bombers tied it up in the last 3 minutes, and the game was almost won in the last play of the game, and they went to overtime. This game will not be that situation. I think the Bombers will kick BC's ass up and down the field all day long. You know, to me, a 2-score win is usually a big deficit by 10 at least. I think the Bombers will win at least by 2 touchdowns in this one. I don't see this one being close at all. I think the crowd will be too much. I think the experience will be too much. I think the coaching at this time of year will be too much. And I'm going to take the Bombers on this one. Yeah, I'm going to be a homer. I don't care what y'all say, but that's my position.
Well, you know what? I hope you're right.
Me too. Let's move on to the East Final. Toronto, probably breaking 25,000. Probably
Right
good weather. You know, there's some idiots out there trying to downplay. Oh, it's from a population of 2 million or 6 million from the GT. Man, shut up. Stop being hateful trolls. It's great to get over 25,000 in Toronto. It means growth. And I hope MLSE takes advantage of that. But what are your key matchups going into this East Final?
Totally agree with that. Let's celebrate the fact that they're possibly getting over 25,000, man. This is great for the league. We need them to get better attendance, and that just helps the league and helps it grow. So celebrate it.
Absolutely.
Key matchups. This game comes down to Montreal's D, and if they can stop that Toronto offense, you know, and especially that D line. When we talked about O lines, Toronto's O line has only given up, what was it? What do I have it? Like 13 sacks only or something?
17, 18?
So, yeah, I mean, okay.
Less than 20.
Yeah, like that's crazy to me. That is, and especially that Chad Kelly didn't play all these games, right? They were in and out guys late in the season, so you think that number would have rose up, but this is where Sean Lemon, Daryl Sankey, they have to get after Chad Kelly and bring him down and beat that O line. But that O line's tough. So we'll see if that Montreal D can keep this going close. Maybe the Montreal offense could do enough, and Fajardo could do enough, who has to play mistake-free football.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Toronto will just make them pay. But this will be a tough one for Montreal. If their D plays well, they'll have a chance.
Yeah, you talk about that D-line, O-line matchup. If Mustafa Johnson on Montreal, I love his name, but I love his motor too. He's like a 290-pound defensive lineman who can easily flank on the end and rush over there or do whatever. What do you call it when the defense linemen, when they stunt around each other? He's one of those D linemen who's very athletic at almost 300 pounds. If he has a big game, I think Montreal has a chance as well. But man, Toronto, they have what's his name? Sikaro at center, Hunter at guard, and Allen at tackle as CFL All-Stars. And they are dominant.
Yeah.
They are dominant. So that's a matchup I'm looking for. Obviously, the Montreal secondary specifically against those Toronto Argo receivers. We don't see a lot of receivers with high yardage on Toronto, but they are number 1 and 2 in regards to receiving yard average with Daniels and Coxie, not 19.4 and 20.2. That's what they average per reception. So they're going to challenge Montreal deep. So if Montreal doesn't get good pressure on Toronto, it could be a long day of big plays for Toronto.
Yeah, and Montreal actually second least in the CFL, giving up yards, 240, just under 240. So yeah, one of these has to give. Montreal's passing D has been good. Their safety has been very good. I can't think of, I didn't write down his name now. What's his name? You know his name?
Marc-Antoine Duquoy.
There you go. Yeah, he's been very good. And if he's taken his opportunities, he did it against the Bombers for touchdowns. The only thing where Montreal suffers, though, is their run game or their run defense, where they've given up 109 yards on the ground. And now you got AJ Ouellette, who's nice and fresh, hasn't played much lately. You got Andrew Harris coming back. So that's where Toronto may focus on beating Montreal. Hey, you don't need to throw the ball if you can run all over this team. So, and that's where Sean Lemon, Daryl Sankey are going to have to step up and lead this Montreal D. But yeah, look out for that run game for Toronto.
Yeah, you talk about run game, but Montreal got to get their run game going too. Like Stanback he put up 150 combined yards last week and he was a force. Of course, that was against Hamilton. totally different team with Toronto. But if you can get those linebackers thinking about stand back coming out of the backfield, either passing or running, that really opens up your passing game, especially
Yeah.
with Austin. And we know they have an effective passing game. Like Fajardo has been pretty decent passing the ball. So if Montreal can get that running game going, at least as a decent threat, that could open stuff up and keep them in the game. But that's gonna be hard. Fajardo has to have a perfect game.
You have to, because we've seen Fajardo get sacked tons this year, and Toronto had 68 sacks this season on defense. So that
Ugh.
Montreal O-line is going to be under pressure, which then ends up leading to Fajardo making mistakes and all that. So yeah, they need that run game. Stand back's got to be good. Open up some holes from that O-line and keep, like we said, same thing with the Winnipeg, and BC, right? Get that run game going. It kind of keeps those pass rushers back a bit. That's what Montreal's going to have to end up doing here to keep Fajardo upright, because we've seen him under pressure. He just throws interceptions, fumbles, and whatever. He looks terrible. And, Toronto's D may embarrass him.
Yeah, and it's not just that impending pressure in him hearing footsteps. It's actual pressure getting to him. When they lost to Toronto 23-20, that interception in the last few bits of the game, he got hit as he was throwing the ball, and he had no chance to set his feet. And he had a receiver down the field going to the corner. So if he had a chance to set his feet and actually throw it to the receiver one-on-one, they might have had a chance, but he didn't have a chance. The pocket was there. He had happy feet. And as he was throwing the ball, he got hit. And Toronto got an interception. BD got a field goal to win the game.
Yeah, Montreal have been close in 2 out of the 3 games. They were close. They had that back and forth first one with Toronto, and then the last one was close too. The middle one was a blowout. So they've been in the games. So there is an opportunity there. But I still think Toronto is still light years ahead of Montreal. Maybe not light years, but still better.
Montreal's defense or special teams got to score some points.
Yes. Yeah.
Got to get them 7. If that happens, they're in the game.
Yeah.
They're in the game.
I mean, exactly. If the D plays well, it's going to be an interesting game.
How do you see it playing out then?
I still think, the Argos end up winning this game. Obviously it'd be a very big upset if Montreal ends up winning this game. We've talked about it. If Montreal's D can keep them in the game, they got a chance. Maybe special teams gives them an opportunity as well, but I still think Toronto is just too good.
This could be like, if this happens, this could be like the biggest playoff upset in CFL history.
Yeah.
Like maybe 89. Saskatchewan beat Edmonton was 16-2.
Yeah.
And Saskatchewan, and they won the Grey Cup that year. Oy.
Calgary beating the Bombers.
I didn't bring it up. You did. But yeah, I think Toronto will win this game. I will be cheering for the Alouettes, not just because if it happens to be Winnipeg Alouettes, that'll be more fun to watch, I think, less stressful, but just because the underdog is fun to root for. But they have to almost have a perfect game, and I don't think that'll happen. So I'll take the Argos.
Yeah, at the end of the day, as much as Montreal would be an easier opponent if the Bombers ended up making there as well, I still want to see that Bomber Winnipeg rematch, hopefully, or sorry, Bomber Argo rematch, because I think that'd be a very good game.
Let's move on. Bomber fans, put your thoughts below, and Toronto fans, and Argo fans, and BC fans, and whoever else fans, if you want to chat, put your comments below. Let's move on to some CFL talk quickly. Chris Edwards suspended 3 games. Enough? Yeah, it's enough. Now it's time for the Ticats to do something. That's what I think.
Yeah, it is. I mean, yeah, in the grand scheme of things, the suspension's good, 3 games, but yeah, he needs to go. He's had already too many issues here. Earlier already this year with the fake handshake, and slamming Hardy that was in this game. The friendly handshake with Austin Mack, that ended up being the fake friendly handshake, and all that. Then, a few years ago, while with the Argos getting into an altercation with fans, I think it's really time for him to take the Garrett Marino way and get out of this league, and the league or the teams have to do something and toss him. There's no need for this, not at all. And the guy continues to do it, so why keep him around?
Yeah, especially in Hamilton, they need a clear culture shift in Hamilton. If it's not Steinhauer leaving, it's this guy leaving for sure, because that's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
CFL All-Stars, any misses? The one I have is Hollins over Mack. Austin Mack had a great year in Montreal, but Alex Hollins was crazy. He had more yards, more receptions, more TDs. And yes, I think there's a minimum, east-west that you have to do in the CFL. I can't be too sure. I probably should have looked at into that before I talk. But I think Alex Holland should have made it over Austin Mack. Other than that, not bad. Evan Holm probably should have made it, but that's, again, people call me a homer, so I'll shut up.
Yeah, Austin Mack had a pretty good season there, so I'm not totally bummed on that one. Yeah, looking through here again, yeah, like you say, Evan Holm could have made it as well, but I mean, two BC DBs ended up making it, right? So yeah, nothing too surprising or too shocking on this list for me.
It's all good. It's all good. Let's move on to some Winnipeg Jets talk brought to you by Fahrenheit Airbrushing. Stand out on the ice, pavement, or the field with a custom airbrushed helmet or goalie mask. A local Manitoba business with affordable solutions for any project. Check out Fahrenheit Airbrushing on Facebook or call them at 204-891-7431. Tell them Ray and Benny sent you. Now I feel like saying, you'll find us. What's that from? I don't even know what that's from. Let's talk about the Winnipeg Jets before we talk about stupidity.
That's the mattress dude, isn't it? The
Maybe.
guy in Winnipeg, the mattress guy.
I just have all these Winnipeg commercials coming up. You got it, Park Pontiac.
Oh, there you go.
Park Pontiac, you owe us some money. Vilardi was seen skating today. What's your far too early predictions to speculate? Thoughts on how this is too long. I should have worded this different. Vilardi's back. What do you think the Jets lineups will look like when he comes back? See?
I'm going to assume they're going to keep this top line together. Connor, Scheifele, Alouettes, because it's been very good and dominant at times. So I see Vilardi probably slipping into that second line center and seeing how that goes between Perfetti and Ehlers. Third line stays the same. Nemestikov goes back down to line 4 with Kupari. And I'm assuming probably Barron and Gustafson's probably the odd man out. Maybe you flip some guys there, here and there, who's not having a good game. But yeah, to me, Nemestikov on that second line, not as offensive as the other two guys. So you got to get another guy in there. And IFLs fit in for the first line. So Vilardi to second line center for me.
Yeah, I have I have Gabe Vilardi on that second line at wing and maybe moving Ehlers up to that first line. And because, Iafalo, I think will have to be dropped sometime in the year. I think he'll be on that fourth line eventually when Vilardi's full 100% good to go. Because I think that line was pretty good in the first, month that they were together. So I think they'd want to put that together, but I don't know if you want to put that right away because Iafalo is playing so well. So I don't even know if I want to put Ehlers on. So I don't know what I do with Ehlers. Now I'm screwed. I can't put Perfetti on the fourth line. Like, what am I going to do? I don't even know what I'm talking about. So because that line 3 can't change.
No.
Right?
Line 1 can't change either to me right now, especially after the last couple games. Maybe when they get back into a little bit of a slump or something like that again. But yeah, it would be hard to break that line up. Line 1 to me and line 3 stay the same no matter what.
Oof.
Right now. Anyways.
I think come a month or so, it should be Iafalo, Barron, and Kupari on the fourth line. I think that's how it'll shake out.
And where are you putting Nemestikov back up on line 2?
Why not?
I don't know. I feel like you need more of an offensive center there than Nemestikov at this point. That's why I would keep Iafalo up there. The way the guy's been scoring, he's got to stay right for me in that top 6 right now.
Yeah, these past 2 games maybe have changed that opinion, but they're playing some weak teams right now, and I don't know if Iafalo can go up and down with I guess we'll see with Dallas coming up, with the Colorados, and maybe we'll see. And Dallas is coming up, so we'll see, man. I don't know.
Good problem to have either way to figure this out, right? So
which segues into the next ridiculous question because of these past 2 games. But should the Jets split up Scheifele and Connor? Well, obviously it's easy to say no now, but with Vilardi coming back, I do want to give him a chance to play with Vilardi, all 3 of them together again. I want to see that line together, so I don't think they should split them, no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, when they're in a slump and they're getting beat, they're bad. I know they give up a lot of goals. They score a lot of goals, but they give up a lot, and sometimes they give up more than they score. But when they're bad, they're bad. When they're good, though, like watching the last 2 games, it's like, holy crap. They know what each other is doing. Scheifele can find Connor. Connor's just finishing like crazy this year. on pace for 69 goals right now. So yeah, they're a crazy tandem together. So it's hard. I get it. You get frustrated watching them, so you want to split them up. But it would be hard right now to split them up. And so again, maybe eventually this line is going to go back into a slump, right? They're going to have few games where they're not scoring and things are going bad. Maybe at that point you try to switch something up. But right now, there's no way you're breaking them up after these 2 games.
And I think you got to have faith in your depth that you've hopefully established this team on or built this team upon.
Yeah, and you got to get guys, and hopefully Ehlers gets it going, right?
He'll get it going.
Quiet start to the season. Maybe you want to throw him up there with Scheifele or Connor and try to get him going, because right now that second line's not scoring a lot. Perfetti's getting points, a lot of them, power play points kind of thing. He scored again tonight. So yeah, but that second line's not really contributing on the score sheet, together. So yeah, you got to figure out a way to get those guys going, and maybe Vilardi coming back does that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens later on in the season.
Let's look at the Jets schedule. Jets Blues just happened. It was nice to see their power play in action.
Yeah, 2 for 3. Yeah,
help them get back on track.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking good. Again, it's scored again. Perfetti tonight on the power play as well. So 2 for 3 the other night. So it's starting to get back into track. I mean, it's still obviously close to the bottom of the ratings in the NHL, but good to see it moving. And they've been consistent on it for the last few games at least. And that coincides too with Scheifele and Connor starting to put up points and scoring goals again.
Jets Preds happened tonight. What are your thoughts on that game? I was at the theater, so I don't even know. I haven't even had a chance to watch the highlights yet.
Yeah, Hattie for Connor, an empty net goal for the hat trick. Perfetti with 1 as well. Dylan with 1. And Mason Appleton scoring the first one in the game. So again, power play scored again in this game. The penalty kill did a decent job, but again, they gave up 3 goals in this game. Brossoit, I think, only faced 24 shots. So again, his save percentage is going to be under 900. So again, the Jets are giving up too many goals in games. But yeah, another solid effort for the most part all around for this one, and a good week, beating 2 division rivals in St. Louis and Nashville, and beating them by more than a goal in each one of those, so good week so far for the Jets.
When I watch a replay, I want to see what the issue is, if it's the goalie or if it's a defense not being able to establish the puck in their own zone and get it out.
Probably a combination of those two. That's the Jets way. Even against St. Louis, I mean, Hellebuyck made some good saves, but there was plenty of times where he was way out of position, which is weird for Hellebuyck because usually he's big and boring, right? But he was out of position, and his D and his forwards were making saves for him when it seemed like it. Excuse me, an easy empty net goal for St. Louis.
Hellebuyck, he'll round into form. No worries about that. Dallas coming up next. What are your thoughts on that game? That'll be a challenge.
Yeah, it'll be a tough match. I mean, Dallas is sitting second right now in the division. Beat Columbus tonight. So I think they're 8-3-1 now, and they're good on the road.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the Columbus game was on the road, but they're 4-1 on the road right now. So yeah, good start for them. Nothing world beating, because most of their games have been close. Like they got 2.8 goals per game, and then they've given up 2.5. So it's close. One thing is their power play is terrible. So that should help the Jets penalty kill. But it'll be a tough matchup. Dallas is a big team. They got some guys that can score, and Sagan and Ben and all that. So it'll be a good matchup.
Jets also surprisingly good on the road. I think they're 4-2-1.
Yeah. At home for this one. Yeah.
2-2-1.
Double header on Saturday with the Jets and then Bombers after that.
Oh man. What time does the Jets game start at?
I think they moved it to 1:00 now.
Okay, I'll take most of that in. Most of that in.
Yeah.
Let's move on to some NHL talk. Oilers should be goalie shopping. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Too early. If they are, who should they be hunting?
The Oilers got to do something because they're floundering, man. And if they lose tonight to San Jose, that'd be something. The pitchforks will be out in that one. Let's see here quickly. Otherwise, yeah, they need to find something. They need to find a goal. Obviously, Skinner has not played well, and Campbell has not played well either. It's 2-1 San Jose right now, halfway through the second.
Sorry, I didn't mean to react like that.
So yeah, they need some help, but that's not going to be the only issue because their D hasn't. That's not going to fix all their issues because their defense hasn't been good either. Yes, these goalies have not made saves when they need to, but the D is so well out of position. For me, looking through all these lists, I think maybe Jake Allen might be the best one for Montreal.
Yes, Jake Allen. Jake
Yeah.
Allen. Go get Jake Allen. Stop messing around.
Cap hit's not that high, or it's high, but not that bad. But you got to get rid of Campbell somehow.
And they're not going to get Soros. Just get Campbell. Stop messing around.
How do you
Allen, not Campbell. Oh my gosh.
How do you got to get rid of Campbell somehow? And that probably includes trading your first rounder next year for someone to take that contract on, because they got no room in the cap to even grab any of these guys. So unless Montreal's taking Campbell back with a first rounder, I can't see them making any move here.
Jeez. Good old Edmonton. I'm sorry, y'all.
Skinner has faced 10 shots and he's given up 2 goals. Ouch.
Benny, you have anything to say to our friends, especially those in Edmonton?
You know what? I feel for you guys. You know what? Thanks a lot for listening. Have a good week, and go Bombers, go.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait. Got the dub. Oops, the dub. This reverse screen sucks. I'm gonna be in section 112. Can't wait. Come say hi. Make some noise. And in the famous words, you know what? Before I say the famous words, I'm gonna say this. Fuck Alex Galchenyuk. That guy is a punk bitch. What a loser. You want to say anything about this fool?
You pretty much said it all. That was ridiculous. I know there was an issue in with all that stuff, but my God, I wasn't expecting what we saw in that video. That was disgusting. And I hope and I pray this guy never sees his foot in the NHL ever again. But yeah, totally agree with what you just said.
Please, Ryan Reeves, if you want to fight someone, get your hands on that MFer. And in the famous words of Michael Jordan, I failed over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Benny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think.